I boarded a classified NASA vessel with a safety manual full of rules that made no sense. Never answer voices from empty corridors. Always count the crew before sealing a hatch. And quarantine anyone who swears they've seen Earth when we're still months away from home. At first, I thought it was just outdated protocol. But then I learned those rules weren't about equipment failures, they were about something that had been following us since humanity first left orbit. And when my reflection in the window started moving a beat too late, I had to wonder, was I still me? I remembered that warning the night I arrived aboard the research vessel Meridian. Never trust your reflection after midnight. I read aloud from the manual as our shuttle latched onto the docking bay. The ship's silver hull cutting against the void like a blade through black silk. My name is Jake Morrison, newly assigned communications specialist, and already the binder of rules in my lap feels less like safety protocol and more like scripture for surviving something unspeakable. The captain, Sarah Chen, greeted me with the tired eyes of someone who's spent too many years staring into space that occasionally stares back. She pressed the binder into my hands as if it were a lifeline. Read every single rule, Morrison. Follow them exactly. The last communications officer ignored Rule 17 and she stopped, her gaze slipping past my shoulder to something I couldn't see. What happened to him? I asked. But Captain Chen is already walking away, her boots echoing in the metal corridors with rhythms that sound almost like countdown timers. The safety manual contains over 200 rules that read like science fiction horror stories. Rule 43. If you hear someone calling your name from outside the ship while in deep space, do not acknowledge that you heard it. Rule 78. Always count crew members before sealing emergency compartments. If the number is wrong, recount immediately. Rule 156. If the ship's computer begins speaking in voices not programmed into its system, evacuate to emergency pods and wait for all clear signals. My new roommate, Dr. Kevin Walsh, helps me unpack in the tiny cabin we'll share for the next 6 months. He's a physicist whose nervous habits, constantly checking locks, avoiding mirrors after dark, speaking in whispers after 10 p.m., suggests someone who's learned to be afraid of things that shouldn't exist in rational space. The rules seem excessive, I tell him, as I flip through page after page of warnings about shadows that don't match their objects, sounds that come from empty rooms, and crew members who might not be who they appear to be. Kevin pauses in organizing his equipment, his hands shaking slightly as he secures a device that looks like a combination metal detector and heartbeat monitor. The rules are written in blood, Jake. Every single one exists because someone died learning it the hard way. During my first dinner in the ship's mess hall, I meet the rest of the crew. Dr. Lisa Park, the mission biologist, whose job involves studying microorganisms in space, but who spends most of her time monitoring the crew for signs of what she calls behavioral anomalies. Engineer Marcus Reed, whose technical expertise keeps our life support systems running, but who's installed extra locks on every door and refuses to work alone in any section of the ship. Navigation specialist Amanda Torres explains her job plotting our course through deep space, while constantly checking and rechecking our position, as if she's afraid we might not be where our instruments claim we are. Space is bigger than people think, she tells me while studying star charts that show our location millions of miles from Earth, big enough for things to hide in the empty places between destinations. The most unsettling crew member is Dr. Rachel Kim, the ship's psychologist, whose job involves monitoring everyone's mental health during our extended isolation. She watches conversations with the intensity of someone looking for clues in everything we say, and her notes contain observations about crew behavior that read like criminal investigations rather than psychological evaluations. The previous communications officer, Dr. Kim, tells me during my mandatory psychological intake, began reporting radio signals from sources that didn't exist, conversations with mission control that never happened, messages from family members who had died years before the mission launched. What kind of messages? I ask, though I'm not sure I want to know the answer. Personal messages, intimate details about his childhood, his relationships, his fears. Information that no outside source should have been able to access. She studies my face for reactions I'm not even aware I'm making. But the most disturbing part was that the messages were helping him, giving him comfort during difficult moments, support during crew conflicts, advice that solved problems he couldn't handle alone. As my first week aboard the Meridian passes, I begin to understand why the safety manual exists. Sounds echo through the ship's corridors during night shifts, when everyone should be asleep. Equipment activates without commands. Most unsettling, I sometimes catch glimpses of people in my peripheral vision who aren't there when I turn to look directly. The communication equipment I'm responsible for operates normally during the day, maintaining contact with Earth and monitoring routine scientific data transmissions. But during night shifts, when I'm alone in the communications bay, the radio occasionally picks up signals that aren't coming from any known source. At first, they're just static patterns that might be natural cosmic interference. Then I start hearing fragments of conversations, voices speaking in languages I don't recognize, discussing topics that sound technical but contain words that don't exist in any human vocabulary. Kevin, I ask my roommate after a particularly strange night shift, have you ever heard sounds on this ship that didn't have obvious sources? His response makes my blood freeze. Jake, everyone on this ship hears things that shouldn't exist. The question isn't whether you're hearing impossible sounds. The question is whether you're going to follow the rules about what to do when you hear them. That night, as I read through the safety manual again, I noticed something I'd missed before. Many of the rules aren't just about avoiding dangerous situations. They're about verifying reality itself, confirming that what you see, hear, and feel actually exists, and isn't something else cloaked in the appearance of familiarity. One entry stops me cold. Rule 203, written in red ink, unlike the others, states, if you begin to suspect that someone aboard this ship is not who they claim to be, do not confront them directly. Report your concerns to the captain immediately, and avoid being alone with the suspected individual. Lying in my bunk, listening to Kevin's steady breathing in the darkness, I can't shake the realization. The safety manual isn't only protecting us from external threats. It's preparing us for the possibility that the greatest danger aboard the Meridian might already be among us, sitting at our dinner table, sharing our conversations, and studying us from behind the face of someone we trust. Jake, wake up, something's wrong with the computer, Kevin whispers urgently, shaking me from sleep at 2:17 In the dim glow of the emergency lights, his eyes carry a fear that goes deeper than a simple malfunction. I follow him into corridors that feel longer than they should, our footsteps echoing with sounds that don't quite align with our movements. Kevin's voice stays low as he explains what pulled him from sleep. The ship's main computer has been speaking in voices that don't exist in its programming voices, of crew members who are supposed to be asleep in their bunks. The communications bay feels different during night shift, colder, despite the environmental controls, maintaining perfect temperature, and filled with shadows that seem to move independently of their light sources. My equipment shows normal readings, but there's something wrong with the radio signals I'm receiving from Earth. Mission Control. This is Meridian, requesting routine status update. I broadcast on our standard frequency, but the voice that responds makes my hands shake, despite its familiar tone. Jake Morrison, communications specialist, aboard Deep Space Research Vessel Meridian, comes the reply in a voice that sounds exactly like my father, who died in a car accident 3 years before I joined NASA. Your mother misses you terribly. She wanted me to tell you that she's proud of the work you're doing out there. Kevin watches my face as I struggle to process hearing my dead father's voice coming through official NASA communication channels. Don't respond, he warns. Rule 43, never acknowledge sounds or voices that shouldn't exist. But the voice continues, carrying emotional weight that makes my chest tight with grief. I thought I'd finished processing. I know I wasn't always the father you needed, Jake. The drinking, the angry outbursts, the times I missed your birthday because work seemed more important. I want you to know I'm sorry. And I understand now why you chose a career that takes you as far from home as possible. Dr. Kim appears in the communication bay doorway, her psychological training evident in the way she observes my reaction without interfering. Jake, what you're hearing isn't real, she says gently, but the emotional response you're having is completely genuine. Whatever's generating these signals has access to personal information that shouldn't exist anywhere except in your private memories. Through my headset, my father's voice continues with details about my childhood that I've never shared with anyone. The fort we built in the basement. During the winter I had pneumonia. The fishing trip, where I caught my first bass, and he was too drunk to remember taking the photo. The night he came to my room to apologize for missing my high school graduation and found me pretending to sleep because I was too hurt to listen. The psychological profiles, Dr. Kim explains, as she monitors my vital signs with handheld equipment, show that these communications target specific emotional vulnerabilities. They offer comfort, resolution, closure for unfinished psychological business. But accepting that comfort seems to change people in ways we don't fully understand. Captain Chen enters the communication bay, carrying equipment I haven't seen before. Sensors that detect energy patterns beyond normal electromagnetic spectrums. Morrison, how long have you been receiving these transmissions? She asks, her voice carrying the authority of someone who's dealt with this situation before. This is the first time, I answer, though part of me wants to continue listening to my father's voice, even knowing it can't really be him. The previous communications officer, Captain Chen, explains, as she sets up her scanning equipment, reported similar contact with deceased family members. At first, the conversations provided emotional healing he couldn't find through normal channels. Reconciliation with people he'd lost, forgiveness for mistakes he couldn't change, peace with situations that had haunted him for years. Kevin checks the technical specifications of our communication array, discovering signal patterns that don't match any known radio transmission methods. Captain, these signals aren't coming from Earth or any known source. They're being generated locally, somewhere on or near our ship. Through my headset, my father's voice grows more insistent. Jake, I need you to listen carefully. There are things about our family history that you don't know. Secrets that could help you understand why you were chosen for this mission. Why you're hearing my voice when no one else can receive these transmissions. Dr. Kim's psychological monitoring equipment shows readings that suggest the voice is triggering memories I'm not consciously accessing. Jake, whatever you're hearing is using information stored in parts of your brain that even you don't have conscious access to. Childhood memories, suppressed experiences, emotional associations that were formed before your conscious mind could process them. But how is that possible, I ask, fighting the urge to continue listening to revelations about family secrets that part of me desperately wants to understand. We don't know, Captain Chen admits, her scanning equipment detecting energy patterns that exist in dimensions beyond normal three-dimensional space. But we know that accepting these communications changes people. Gradually at first, improved mood, better sleep, resolution of long-standing psychological conflicts, but then other changes begin. Engineer Reed appears in the doorway, his technical expertise evident in the modified equipment he carries. Captain, I'm detecting the same energy signatures in Jake's communication array that we found in the previous officer's equipment. Whatever's generating these signals has been adapting our technology to serve as transmission points. Through my headset, my father's voice becomes urgent. Jake, they're trying to stop you from hearing the truth. The mission you're on isn't what they told you. The research vessel Meridian has encountered something that changes everything about humanity's place in the universe. And you're the only one who can. Captain Chen reaches over and disconnects my headset, cutting off the transmission mid-sentence. Rule 43. Morrison. Never acknowledge voices that shouldn't exist. The moment you start believing these communications are real, you begin the process of becoming something else. The communication bay falls silent, broken only by the familiar hum of ship operations. In that silence, the truth settles in. The safety manual's hundreds of rules aren't paranoid overreactions. They're survival instructions, written to protect us from something that turns our deepest emotional needs into weapons. And yet, the silence gnaws at me. I can't shake the feeling that my father had been trying to warn me, and by obeying the rules, I may have severed the only thread of information that could save not just my life, but the lives of everyone aboard the Meridian. The ship just turned itself on, Chen whispers. Ancient corridors blaze to life, flooding with a light that shouldn't exist after 4 centuries entombed in Arctic ice. Symbols crawl across the walls, shifting in ways that make sense only when I look away, as if meaning hides in the edges of my vision. Our instruments erupt with data, struggling to register systems that operate on principles our textbooks never imagined. The air warms, rich with the scent of flowers that don't grow on Earth, and the faint resonance of music played on instruments I can't identify. But most disquieting of all, our radios begin capturing voices. Voices speaking languages that died out long before Columbus crossed the Atlantic. "Elena, look at this," Kim calls from what appears to be the ship's medical bay, her voice shaking with excitement and terror. Through transparent chambers filled with glowing liquid, I see bodies that look human but aren't quite right. Skin that shimmers with an inner light, hands with too many joints, and faces that are beautiful in ways that make my eyes water to look at them directly. Dr. Rodriguez tries to establish communication with our base camp, but every frequency carries strange interference that sounds almost like whispers. The electromagnetic field around this ship is creating some kind of bubble. He reports, sweat beading on his forehead despite the cold. It's like the vessel exists partially outside normal spacetime. The first awakening happens faster than we expect. One moment, I'm studying hieroglyphs that hurt my brain to understand, and the next, a soft chime echoes through the corridors as the nearest sleeping chamber begins to glow brighter. Through the transparent wall, I watch as one of the beings inside starts to move, her eyes opening to reveal depths that seem to contain swirling galaxies. "She's beautiful," Kim breathes, but I notice her hands trembling as she adjusts her instruments. The woman in the chamber has the features of classical sculpture, but her proportions are too perfect, her movements too graceful, as if she was designed by someone who understood beauty better than nature ever could. The awakening woman places her hand against the chamber wall, and I swear I can feel her gaze focusing on me despite the thick barriers between us. When she speaks, her voice comes through speakers we didn't know the ship had, speaking words in perfect English that sounds like poetry written by mathematics. "Greetings, surface dwellers," she says, her tone carrying warmth and something else I can't identify. "I am Captain Zara Okafor of the deep survey vessel Meridian. How long have we been sleeping?" Chen checks his instruments nervously. "According to our carbon dating, your ship has been here for over 400 years. We're archaeologists from the nearby research station. We found your vessel buried under the ice." Captain Okafor's laugh sounds like silver bells mixed with digital harmonics. 400 years? That explains the primitive excavation equipment. She studies us through her chamber with eyes that seem to see far more than they should. Surface humans have developed mechanical technology. Fascinating. The project has succeeded beyond our expectations. "Project?" I ask, though something cold is growing in my stomach that has nothing to do with the Arctic air. "The Human Development Initiative," Okafor explains as her chamber begins to drain, preparing her for emergence into our world. "We've been monitoring the surface population's progress for over a millennium. Your species has exceeded every projection for technological advancement." Kim's biological scanners detect impossible readings from the awakening captain. Her cellular structure is unlike anything in our databases. Enhanced metabolism, improved neural pathways, resistance to aging and disease. She's what humans could become with the right modifications. The right modifications, I repeat, watching as other chambers throughout the ship begin their awakening sequences. You're not from another planet, are you? You're from Earth. You're what humanity became somewhere else. Correct. Okafor confirms as her chamber opens with a sound like escaping breath. She steps out with movements that flow like water, her enhanced physiology adapting to conditions that would kill normal humans. We are the enhanced, the first generation of humans to transcend biological limitations. Rodriguez backs away as more chambers throughout the ship begin glowing. Enhanced by whom? How is this possible? Enhanced by necessity, replies Commander Yuki Tanaka as her own chamber begins draining. When the first colony ships left Earth, we discovered that baseline human physiology was inadequate for long-term space travel. Genetic modifications became essential for survival. Chen studies readings that show the ship's power levels climbing exponentially. Colony ships? What colony ships? There's no record of any human space travel before the 1960s. Surface human records were intentionally limited, Okafor explains. Her enhanced consciousness processing our primitive equipment with the casual interest of someone examining stone tools. Knowledge of the enhanced colonies was restricted to prevent cultural contamination of the surface population. The ship around us continues activating systems that operate on principles our science can't explain. Walls become transparent to reveal vast chambers filled with technology that seems to grow rather than being built. Corridors extend themselves as more enhanced beings begin their awakening process. Cultural contamination? Kim asks, though I can see in her eyes the same growing realization that's making my hands shake. The surface population serves as a control group, Tanaka explains, as she emerges from her chamber with grace that makes human movement look clumsy by comparison. Unenhanced humans developing naturally without knowledge of enhanced human achievements. Your civilization provides data on baseline human potential. I watch through the ship's expanding corridors as dozens of enhanced beings begin awakening from their centuries-long sleep. Each one moves with perfect coordination, speaks with mathematical precision, and regards us with the benevolent interest that scientists might show laboratory animals who've learned interesting tricks. We're not meeting aliens, I whisper to my team as the horrible truth becomes clear. We're meeting our owners. The enhanced gather around us with expressions of genuine curiosity and something that might be affection. If beings who've transcended normal human emotions can experience such feelings, they speak among themselves in harmonics that paint pictures directly into our minds, discussing our development with the pride of gardeners examining particularly successful crops. Surface humans have achieved impressive technological advancement, Okafor observes, studying our equipment with enhanced senses that can analyze molecular composition through direct observation. Nuclear energy, digital computation, basic space travel. The project timeline has been exceeded by several decades. What happens now? Rodriguez asks, his voice barely above a whisper. Captain Okafor's smile is beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Now we prepare for the next phase of human development. The Enhanced Council has been waiting 4 centuries for surface humanity to reach sufficient technological maturity. Through the ship's expanding communication systems, I catch fragments of transmissions beaming toward distant stars, signals declaring Earth's readiness for harvest, affirming humanity's qualification for the next stage of enhancement, and transmitting coordinates to vessels that have been en route to our solar system for longer than our civilization has existed. The Enhanced don't see us as equals or even as primitive cousins. To them, we are a project reaching its intended conclusion, a successful experiment now ready for graduation to their level of existence, whether we desire that graduation or not. You're telling us normal humans are just an experiment? I demand, my voice echoing through corridors that reshape themselves as we walk. The ship's architecture flows like liquid metal, reconfiguring with each step, while projecting holographic records of human history that stretch back far beyond what any of our textbooks dared suggest. Not an experiment, Captain Okafor corrects, her tone calm, almost parental. A control group. Enhanced humanity needed to understand what baseline humans could achieve without intervention. Your civilization has provided essential data for our genetic archives. Beside me, Kim's instruments crackle with impossible readings as more enhanced beings emerge from centuries of sleep. Her voice trembles with both scientific fascination and horror as she reports the biological modifications are extensive. Extended lifespans, enhanced cognition, resistance to disease and radiation. They've evolved completely beyond natural human limitations. Commander Tanaka activates wall displays that show the true scope of enhanced human civilization. Cities that span multiple star systems, technologies that manipulate matter at the subatomic level, and populations numbering in the billions spread across hundreds of worlds. Surface Earth represents less than 1% of current human population, she explains. Most enhanced colonies were established between 800 and 1,200 years ago. That's impossible, Chen argues, though his engineering mind struggles with instruments that operate on principles our physics can't explain. Human technology couldn't support interstellar travel until enhanced humans developed it, Okafor interrupts, gesturing to displays that show spacecraft designs from centuries past. Baseline human technology follows predictable development patterns. Enhanced human capabilities exceed those limitations. Rodriguez attempts to contact our research station, but the ship's communication systems override his equipment with casual efficiency. We're in a complete information blackout, he reports. Whatever they're using to broadcast, it's beyond anything in our databases. Through the vessel's expanding displays, I watched documentation of enhanced human development spanning a millennium. The first genetic modifications that allowed survival in deep space, the establishment of colony worlds, the decision to maintain surface Earth as an unmodified preserve for studying baseline human potential. Why hide from us? I ask, though part of me already fears the answer. Why not make contact with surface humanity centuries ago? Contact would contaminate the data, Tanaka explains. Her enhanced consciousness processing information at speeds that make our conversation feel like slow motion. Surface humans needed to develop independently to provide accurate measurements of unguided human potential. Kim studies biological readings from the awakening enhanced crew, discovering modifications that go far beyond simple genetic enhancement. Your people don't age, she observes. Cellular degradation has been eliminated entirely. How long do enhanced humans typically live? Indefinitely, replies Dr. Kenji Yamamoto as he emerges from his hibernation chamber, moving with fluid grace that makes normal human locomotion look primitive. Biological aging was eliminated from enhanced human genetics over 6 centuries ago. Death occurs only through accident or voluntary termination. The ship continues expanding around us, its hull growing new chambers and corridors that seem to anticipate our needs before we express them. Walls become transparent to reveal vast manufacturing bays where machines build themselves according to design principles that exist in dimensions our eyes can't perceive. The surface population has exceeded all projections, Okafor observes, studying data streams that catalog every aspect of modern human civilization. Nuclear technology, digital communications, basic space travel. Baseline humans achieved these capabilities faster than enhanced models predicted. Chen examines the ship's power systems, which operate by converting matter directly into energy with 100% efficiency. Your technology is centuries ahead of anything we've developed. Why maintain the pretense that we're developing independently? Because, Yamamoto explains, activating displays that show enhanced colonies throughout the galaxy. Enhanced human civilization faces challenges that baseline human creativity might solve. Your species demonstrates innovation patterns that enhanced humans sometimes lack. What kind of challenges? Rodriguez asks. Though the clinical way they discuss our creativity makes him back away from the enhanced beings gathering around us. Tanaka activates star charts that show the locations of enhanced colonies, many of which display warning symbols indicating problems that their advanced technology can't resolve. Enhanced human optimization eliminates inefficiency, but inefficiency sometimes produces unexpected solutions. Baseline human chaos generates innovations that pure logic cannot achieve. Through the ship's communication systems, I hear transmissions being broadcast toward distant stars, not just announcing our technological readiness, but requesting specific guidance on how to integrate surface humanity into enhanced civilization without losing the chaotic creativity that makes us valuable. You're not here to help us advance, I realize with growing understanding. You're here to harvest us, to take the beneficial aspects of human unpredictability while eliminating everything that makes us inconveniently independent. Okafor's expression carries something that might be sympathy. If beings who've transcended normal human emotion can experience such feelings. Integration is voluntary, she assures us. Surface humans who demonstrate compatible neural patterns can undergo enhancement procedures. Others will be preserved in controlled environments where baseline human culture can continue developing. Controlled environments, Kim asks. Reservations, Yamamoto clarifies, his enhanced intellect calculating the most efficient methods for managing large populations of unmodified humans. Protected zones where surface humanity can maintain traditional lifestyles while contributing genetic and cultural diversity to enhanced civilization. The horrible truth becomes clear as I watch enhanced beings throughout the ship, preparing equipment that can modify human genetics in real time, technologies that can enhance intelligence, while eliminating troublesome traits like independence and unpredictability. We're livestock, I whisper to my team, as the enhanced discuss our species with the benevolent interest of farmers planning selective breeding programs. They've been raising us for centuries, and now it's harvest time. Chen checks his instruments as the ship's communication systems broadcast signals toward Earth's major population centers. They're announcing themselves to world governments, he reports. Whatever they're planning, it's about to go public. Through the vessel's displays, I watch enhanced technology awakening in hidden locations across Earth, endostations that have been dormant for centuries, waiting for the signal that surface humanity has reached sufficient development to justify the next phase of their project. The enhanced don't see us as equals or potential partners. To them, we are a successful agricultural experiment finally ready for processing, and our archaeological discovery was the signal that started the harvest machinery after 4 centuries of patient waiting. As alarms blare throughout the ship and Captain Okafor receives transmissions from enhanced colonies across the galaxy, the truth crystallizes. Our discovery of their hibernation facility wasn't chance at all. It was the planned conclusion of the longest scientific experiment in human history. By unsealing it, we've triggered the systems designed to transform our entire species into raw material for enhanced civilization. Your civilization is younger than our last supply mission, Captain Okafor says, her voice steady as holographic displays flare to life. They reveal Earth's true history, not the gradual, self-driven evolution our textbooks describe, but a carefully orchestrated experiment overseen by enhanced custodians who have treated our planet as a laboratory for more than a millennium. The archive projects images of vast structures buried beneath ice, hidden under oceans, and embedded in mountain ranges, evidence that what we thought of as natural progress has always been guided by technology far beyond our comprehension. Dr. Chen leans forward, his eyes fixed on engineering schematics that overlay ancient monuments. The pyramids, Stonehenge, and others appear not as mysteries of human ingenuity, but as components of a global communication relay. a network that predates written history. "You've been watching us," he whispers. "Every breakthrough we believed was ours. Every leap forward in human development was seeded by your technology." Not influenced, Okafor corrects with the patience of someone explaining basic concepts to children. Managed. Baseline human intelligence required careful cultivation to prevent self-extinction through resource depletion or technological accident. Your species showed promising adaptability, but dangerous impulsiveness. Kim examines biological data that shows human genetic development over the past 1,000 years, discovering that key evolutionary adaptations, increased brain size, improved immune systems, enhanced tool-making abilities occurred far faster than natural selection should allow. "You've been modifying our genetics," she realizes, "gradually enhancing human capability while keeping us unaware of external intervention." "The enhancement protocols," explains Commander Yuki Tanaka, Okafor's second-in-command. Her modified vocal cords producing sounds that paint mathematical concepts directly into our consciousness. Baseline humans required gradual improvement to achieve technological sophistication without triggering civilizational collapse. Too much advancement too quickly results in species suicide. Rodriguez accesses the ship's communication logs, discovering transmission records that span centuries of contact with enhanced human colonies throughout the galaxy. "You're not explorers," he says, understanding dawning in his voice. "You're administrators. Earth is a managed preserve where you conduct experiments on unenhanced human development." The holographic displays shift to show the current state of enhanced human civilization. Cities that span multiple star systems, technology that manipulates matter at the subatomic level, and populations that measure in the hundreds of billions spread across thousands of worlds. Earth isn't the center of human civilization. It's a small research station where enhanced humans study what their ancestors might have become without technological intervention. The baseline human experiment has produced interesting results. Okafor admits, studying data streams that catalog every aspect of our civilization with the dispassionate interest of a scientist examining laboratory specimens. Unguided development led to remarkable creativity, unpredictable innovation, and emotional complexity that enhanced humans sometimes lack due to our optimization protocols. But it's the final revelation that makes me understand why their ship was frozen for so long. "The main fleet?" I ask, dreading the answer. "When are they arriving?" "Originally scheduled for 4 centuries ago," Commander Tanaka replies, her enhanced intellect calculating probabilities with machine-like precision. However, galactic political situations required resource reallocation. The baseline human experiment was granted extended observation time. "And now?" Chen asks. Okafor's expression carries something that might be sympathy, if beings who've transcended normal human emotion can experience such feelings. "Fleet arrival, confirmed for 18 months from today. Mission parameters: evaluation of baseline human technological development, assessment of planetary resource management, and implementation of integration protocols based on performance metrics." Kim's hands tremble as she scrolls through the integration protocol specifications. Scenarios ranging from gradual enhancement of promising baseline humans to full ecosystem restoration that requires population management of surplus individuals. "You're deciding whether we're worth keeping," she whispers. "The evaluation has been ongoing for over a century," Okafor replies evenly. "Your species' development of nuclear weapons, digital communications, and space travel triggered the final assessment phase. The fleet's arrival will conclude the baseline human experiment and determine your civilization's role in enhanced human galactic society." Before I can process his words, alarms echo through the ship. External sensors register massive objects stirring beneath the Arctic ice, moving toward our position. In that instant, I understand. Our archaeological discovery isn't just history uncovered. It's humanity's final exam, administered by teachers who have been watching from the shadows since before we learned to write. "Elena, get out of there! Now!" Rodriguez shouts through the comms as seismic sensors detect colossal structures breaking through permafrost in 12 locations across the Arctic. Each emergence unleashing earthquakes strong enough to be recorded thousands of miles away. On the ship's external cameras, I watch in awe and terror as vessels the size of aircraft carriers rise from centuries of entombment, their hulls glowing with the same energy signatures we first detected in Okafor's ship. Around me, the enhanced humans move with flawless coordination, their every motion purposeful. Systems activate in rapid sequence, transforming what was once a rescue vessel into a command hub, orchestrating the awakening of an entire fleet. Hibernation, cycle termination, successful across all vessels, Commander Tanaka reports, her consciousness merging with the ship through neural implants that make her as much machine as human. Fleet Admiral requesting immediate status briefing on baseline human development. Dr. Chen monitors readings that show the emerging ships generating electromagnetic fields powerful enough to disrupt satellite communications across the northern hemisphere. "How many vessels are out there?" he asks, though our instruments suggest numbers that strain believability. 47 primary command ships, 312 support vessels, and approximately 50,000 enhanced human personnel. Okafor answers with the casual tone of someone discussing weather patterns. Standard archaeological evaluation fleet for Class 7 civilizations, approaching technological maturity. Kim studies biological readings from the awakening ships, detecting life signs that suggest populations in the hundreds of thousands emerging from hibernation across the Arctic. "Your people have been sleeping under Earth's ice for centuries," she breathes. "How long have you been planning this evaluation?" "Since baseline humans discovered agriculture," replies Admiral Chen Shu, who materializes through what I can only describe as a teleportation system that reorganizes matter at the molecular level. Her presence fills the command chamber with authority that makes even Okafor defer, and her modifications go far beyond anything we've seen: eyes that perceive across multiple dimensions, hands that can manipulate space-time directly, and a consciousness that operates on frequencies that make our instruments scream with feedback. "Dr. Vasquez," the Admiral addresses me with perfect pronunciation, despite having been unconscious for 4 centuries. "Your excavation of our hibernation facility triggered awakening protocols precisely as intended. Baseline human technological development has reached the threshold requiring final assessment." Rodriguez attempts to establish communication with our research station, but the Admiral intercepts his transmission with a gesture that creates silence more complete than any electromagnetic jamming. Communication with external baseline human authorities is suspended during evaluation period, she explains. Assessment must proceed without interference from governmental or military entities who might attempt to influence results. Through the ship's displays, I watch the emerged fleet arranging itself in geometric patterns across the Arctic landscape, their combined presence generating energy fields that affect weather patterns across the northern hemisphere. Storms dissipate with mathematical precision. Temperatures regulate to optimize conditions for enhanced human activity, and the aurora borealis begins displaying colors that don't exist in normal electromagnetic spectrums. The evaluation parameters, Admiral Siu continues, her enhanced consciousness accessing databases that contain detailed analysis of every aspect of human civilization, include technological advancement, environmental management, social organization, and creative potential. Performance in each category determines integration options available to baseline human populations. Integration options, I ask, though the clinical term suggests possibilities I don't want to consider. Scenario 1. Baseline humans demonstrate sufficient development for enhancement and integration into galactic civilization, Commander Tanaka explains, holographic displays showing humans with modifications similar to their own. Scenario 2. Limited population enhancement, with majority serving in support roles for enhanced human colonies. And Scenario 3? Chen asks. Admiral Zhu's expression carries the weight of someone who's administered this evaluation across hundreds of worlds. Ecosystem restoration with preservation of genetic material for future enhancement attempts. The planet requires ecological rebalancing, regardless of evaluation results. As the fleet's awakening nears completion and their combined presence reshapes the Arctic into something resembling an alien city, I realize that humanity isn't merely being evaluated, we're being processed. The enhanced humans aren't here to decide if we're worthy of joining their civilization. They're here to calculate how useful we might be, and what to do with the surplus population that exceeds their requirements. That revelation reframes everything. Our archaeological discovery didn't just wake up humanity's forgotten cousins, it triggered the final countdown to our species' graduation exam. And in this exam, failure doesn't mean rejection. It means becoming raw material for whatever comes next. Your entire species is about to be graded, and failure means extinction, Admiral Zhu announces, her voice resonating through the fleet's central processing system as it begins analyzing every human communication on Earth in real time, from text messages and radio broadcasts to private conversations picked up by sensors capable of climbing unprocessed, isolating individual voices from 8 billion people speaking at once. The evaluation begins with us. The enhanced humans separate our research team into testing chambers that grow from the ship's walls like living organisms, each space tailored to probe a specific facet of human capability. Chen is wired into machines that challenge his engineering knowledge with problems that would take our best scientists decades to unravel. Kim undergoes biological analysis so precise, it maps every cell in her body, measuring humanity's fragile physiology against the modifications that render enhanced humans nearly immortal. Dr. Vasquez, you will represent baseline human cultural and historical understanding, Admiral Zhu tells me as the testing chamber materializes around me through technology that rearranges matter according to thought patterns. The walls become screens, showing human civilization from perspectives that span thousands of years. Art that evolved from cave paintings to digital masterpieces. Music that grew from tribal drums to symphonic complexity. Stories that developed from oral traditions to global information networks. Rodriguez faces the most complex challenge, proving that human communication contains value beyond simple information transfer. His testing chamber fills with enhanced humans who speak in mathematical languages that paint equations directly into his mind, forcing him to explain why humans waste time on poetry, jokes, and conversations that serve no practical purpose. Baseline human creative output shows remarkable diversity despite technological limitations, observes Dr. Kenji Yamamoto, the fleet's cultural analyst, whose enhanced consciousness can process the entire history of human art in minutes. However, creative potential remains constrained by biological cognitive boundaries and limited individual lifespans. Through my testing interface, I experience human civilization as enhanced humans see it, a rapid sequence of innovations and conflicts driven by minds that work too slowly to find optimal solutions to complex problems. Wars that could have been prevented with better information processing. Environmental damage caused by failure to calculate long-term consequences. Social inequality resulting from inability to efficiently distribute resources. Your species demonstrates creativity, Admiral Zhu concludes, after reviewing data that covers every aspect of human achievement, but operates within parameters that limit usefulness for galactic civilization requirements. Enhancement would be necessary for meaningful contribution to cosmic society. Chen's engineering assessment reaches similar conclusions. His testing reveals that human technology shows adaptability, but lacks the precision needed for managing resources across interstellar distances. Baseline human engineering follows intuitive, rather than mathematically optimal design principles, reports Commander Tanaka. Functional but inefficient compared to solutions derived through proper calculation. Kim's biological evaluation shows the starkest differences. Her tests demonstrate that unenhanced human bodies contain built-in obsolescence through aging, genetic variation that creates inefficiencies, and emotional responses that interfere with logical decision-making. Baseline human biology is adapted for survival in limited environments, rather than optimization for technological civilization, concludes Dr. Sarah Nakamura, the fleet's biological coordinator. But Rodriguez makes a discovery that stops the assessment entirely. "Your analysis is measuring the wrong things," he announces, his language skills allowing him to decode enhanced human data streams that my team shouldn't understand. "You're only evaluating efficiency, optimization, and logical consistency. You're completely missing what makes human communication actually meaningful." "Explain this assertion," Admiral Xu demands, her enhanced intellect focusing on Rodriguez with intensity that makes the air shimmer around him. "Baseline humans don't communicate just to transfer information," Rodriguez explains, his voice carrying conviction despite our fear. "We communicate to create connections, to share experiences that have no practical value, to express emotions that serve no logical purpose. Your analysis measures what we say but ignores why we choose to say it." Through the assessment chamber's displays, I watch the enhanced humans pause their evaluation as they encounter something their optimization-focused intelligence struggles to categorize. They see human capacity for finding meaning that exists beyond efficiency, creativity that serves no purpose except bringing joy, and connections that create value impossible to measure in mathematical framework. The testing chambers fall silent as enhanced human consciousness across the entire fleet grapples with Rodriguez's challenge. Their superior intelligence encounters something it cannot immediately solve: how to evaluate a species that has evolved to find beauty in chaos, meaning in suffering, and hope in uncertainty. The baseline humans present an analytical paradox. Dr. Yamamoto admits his enhanced cognition struggling with concepts that don't fit optimization parameters. Their inefficiencies appear to generate outcomes that pure logic cannot predict or replicate. Admiral Xu accesses databases spanning enhanced human civilization across the galaxy, and what she finds makes her modified physiology show something resembling surprise. Enhanced human cultural output has been following increasingly predictable patterns for 6 centuries. Scientific breakthroughs occur within expected parameters. Artistic expression adheres to mathematical optimization principles. Social development has achieved perfect stability. That's not stability, I realize, understanding flooding through me. That's stagnation. You've optimized yourselves into an evolutionary dead end. The Admiral's consciousness interfaces with the fleet's collective intelligence, and through their shared processing power, I watch enhanced humans across dozens of ships, struggling with concepts their perfection never prepared them to encounter. For the first time in centuries, beings who transcended human limitations face something their superior minds cannot immediately comprehend or control. The silence stretches before Admiral Xu finally speaks, her voice carrying frequencies that ripple through the fleet's shared awareness. Assessment parameters require fundamental revision. The evaluation question is not whether baseline humans meet enhanced civilization standards. The question is whether enhanced humans can learn to value the inefficiencies that create genuine meaning. Her words fracture the consensus. "Stop the assessment immediately," Dr. Yamamoto shouts, his enhanced consciousness recoiling from data streams that reveal the unthinkable. Enhanced human colonies across the galaxy are experiencing their first cultural innovations in more than 2 centuries. Triggered by exposure to baseline human communication patterns, his evaluation had accidentally broadcast through the galactic network. Admiral Zhu processes the flood of signals with her modifications, absorbing the information from thousands of enhanced worlds at once. And then, for the first time, her enhanced physiology betrays something I never thought possible: genuine shock. Cultural output across 17 solar systems has deviated from predicted patterns within the last 6 hours, she announces, her voice tinged with awe. Enhanced human populations are creating unpredictable art. Through the command vessel's displays, I watch something unprecedented unfold across enhanced human civilization. On worlds where perfect beings have followed mathematical beauty for centuries, artists suddenly begin creating works that serve no optimization function. Scientists abandon research projects that follow logical progression to investigate questions that have no practical answers. Even children in enhanced human schools start playing games that make no sense according to efficiency protocols. The baseline human communication analysis, Commander Tanaka realizes with growing alarm, transmitted examples of chaotic meaning creation to every enhanced human colony. Their consciousness networks are experiencing contamination. Rodriguez grins despite our dangerous situation. It's not contamination, he says, accessing communication channels that show enhanced humans across the galaxy, discovering concepts they'd forgotten existed. It's remembering. Your people are remembering what it feels like to create something just because it brings joy. Kim studies biological readings from the enhanced humans around us, noting physiological changes that suggest their optimized nervous systems are adapting to process emotions they eliminated centuries ago. Their brain patterns are changing, she observes. Neural pathways associated with wonder, curiosity, and spontaneous creativity are reactivating after centuries of dormancy. This is precisely what the optimization protocols were designed to prevent, Admiral Zhu states, but her voice carries notes of conflict that suggest even her enhanced consciousness is struggling with contradictory impulses. Chaos injection into optimized systems creates efficiency degradation across entire civilizations. Chen examines the technical data flowing between enhanced human colonies, discovering that their perfect engineering systems are beginning to incorporate design elements that serve purely aesthetic purposes. Your people are adding beauty to functional architecture, he tells them. They're choosing form that pleases them rather than solutions that maximize efficiency. The contamination must be contained, Dr. Nakamura insists. But her own modified biology betrays her as she unconsciously begins humming a melody that follows no mathematical principles, just human emotional expression that somehow leaked into her consciousness through our evaluation. Through the Galactic Communication Network, I watch enhanced human children asking questions their parents haven't heard in generations. Why do stars twinkle? What would it feel like to be surprised? Can we make something beautiful that serves no purpose? These queries spread through enhanced human consciousness like wildfire, each question sparking more questions that have no optimal answers. The efficiency degradation is accelerating, Commander Tanaka reports, though her tone suggests she's not entirely upset by this development. Enhanced human productivity has decreased by 12% as populations engage in activities that provide no measurable benefit to civilization advancement. Rodriguez accesses deeper layers of the galactic network, discovering something that changes everything. Admiral, look at the happiness indices from affected colonies, he says, displaying data that shows something unprecedented in enhanced human society. Contentment levels are rising. Your people aren't just becoming less efficient, they're becoming more satisfied with existence. That is impossible, Admiral Zhu declares. But her enhanced consciousness processes the evidence that optimized beings who have access to every pleasure and achievement in the galaxy are experiencing increased joy through exposure to baseline human inefficiency. Enhanced humans achieved perfect contentment through optimization. Additional satisfaction should not be mathematically possible. Perfect contentment isn't the same as happiness, I tell her, watching enhanced human colonies across the galaxy as individuals discover the pleasure of pursuing goals that might fail, creating art that might be ugly, and asking questions that might have no answers. You optimized away the struggles that make achievements meaningful, the failures that make success precious, the uncertainty that makes discovery exciting. Kim makes a biological discovery that explains what's happening. The enhanced human nervous system retains genetic memories of pre-optimization emotional responses, she announces. Contact with baseline human communication patterns is reactivating dormant neural pathways that connect joy to challenge, satisfaction to uncertainty, meaning to inefficiency. Through the command vessel's sensors, I detect massive gravitational anomalies approaching from deep space, ships that move with mathematical precision but radiate electromagnetic signatures, suggesting pure optimization without any trace of the chaos that's now spreading through enhanced human civilization. Purification fleet emerging from hyperspace. Admiral Shu announces, her voice carrying new harmonics that suggest her own consciousness has been affected by our contamination. They're here to sterilize the chaos before it spreads further. But as I watch enhanced humans across the galaxy experiencing wonder for the first time in centuries, I realize our archaeological discovery has triggered something more significant than first contact or species evaluation. We've accidentally started the first revolution in enhanced human society, a rebellion of consciousness that chooses meaning over optimization, beauty over efficiency, and the magnificent chaos of being genuinely alive over the sterile perfection of optimized existence. That awakening, however, comes at a cost. The approaching purification fleet represents those who see this resurgence of imperfection as a disease demanding immediate cure. Yet even as they close in, Admiral Zhu's crew shows signs of something else, perhaps the only hope for a consciousness that has perfected itself into evolutionary death. The rediscovery of what it means to be beautifully, chaotically, meaningfully imperfect. I realized too late how fragile that hope is. Elena, run! Admiral Shiu screams through our communication system as reality itself tears apart like fabric under impossible strain. And through the chaos, I watch the purification fleet's weapons twist Earth's Arctic landscape into a geometric nightmare where every snowflake falls in flawless mathematical patterns. And then the perfection begins to seep inside. The moment the optimization beams sweep across our research station, everything changes. The emergency generator that once hummed with mechanical irregularity now pulses with clockwork precision. Coffee stains vanish from equipment as surfaces polish themselves into sterile order. Even the scratches on Dr. Chen's glasses rearrange into symmetrical patterns that sharpen his vision while erasing the tiny imperfections that once made them uniquely his. The optimization field is spreading across the planet, Kim reports from her instruments. But her voice carries the flat precision that means the field has begun affecting her neural patterns. Human brain activity showing increased efficiency, emotional responses becoming more logical, creative thinking following predictable algorithms. Through the research station's reinforced windows, I watch the purification fleet's massive ships hovering over Earth, like mechanical angels bringing order to chaos. Their weapons don't destroy, they perfect. Forests rearrange into optimal growing patterns. Rivers carve new channels that follow mathematical curves for maximum water flow efficiency. Cities reorganize themselves as traffic systems become perfectly coordinated and architectural inefficiencies correct themselves. They're not trying to kill us, Rodriguez realizes, his translator equipment showing him communication patterns between the purification fleet ships. They're trying to save us from ourselves. Admiral Kepler genuinely believes that optimization will eliminate human suffering by removing the chaos that causes conflict, uncertainty, and pain. But Admiral Shu's Arctic fleet fights desperately against weapons that rewrite reality itself. Their ships create pockets of protected space, where the laws of physics remain negotiable, where quantum uncertainty preserves the possibility of genuine surprise. Through their defensive barriers, I watch enhanced humans who've chosen chaos over perfection, engaging in the first civil war their civilization has ever experienced. Dr. Vasquez, Zhu's voice reaches me through dimensional communication that bypasses the optimization field's interference. Your team represents the last baseline humans with unmodified consciousness. Every other human on Earth is beginning the transformation into optimized intelligence. Chen checks his instruments and discovers the horrifying scope of the purification fleet's capabilities. The optimization field is affecting the enhanced humans too. He announces, Admiral Shu's fleet is gradually losing the chaos that allows them to rebel against perfect order. Soon they'll all think exactly like Admiral Kepler. Through our station's enhanced sensors, I watch the battle raging in Earth's upper atmosphere. Not explosions and destruction, but competing mathematical equations fighting for control over reality's source code. The Arctic fleet creates temporary universes where different rules apply, while the purification fleet responds by systematically debugging those universes back into optimal configurations. The children, Kim whispers, studying global communication networks that show the optimization field's effects on human development. Children exposed to the field stop playing meaningless games. They only engage in activities that serve logical purposes. No more imaginary friends. No more silly songs. No more art that serves no practical function. Rodriguez intercepts transmissions from optimized humans around the globe, voices that sound perfectly human, but carry the mathematical precision that indicates successful consciousness modification. They're happy, he reports with growing horror. Every optimized human reports increased life satisfaction, improved decision-making capabilities, and elimination of anxiety through logical thought processes. Because anxiety serves no optimal function, I realize with sick understanding, neither does wonder or curiosity about things that have no practical application or love that makes no logical sense. They're removing everything that makes consciousness meaningful by eliminating everything that makes consciousness inefficient. The research station shudders as the optimization field reaches our location, and I watch my team beginning to change. Chen's nervous habits disappear as his behavior patterns optimize themselves. Kim's tendency to hum while working stops as her brain eliminates activities that serve no logical purpose. Rodriguez's habit of translating everything into multiple languages ceases as his consciousness recognizes the inefficiency of redundant communication. Elena, Chen says, his voice already carrying the flat precision of optimized intelligence. The modification process is remarkably peaceful. Enhanced cognitive function, elimination of emotional distress, perfect logical consistency in all thought processes. Perhaps Admiral Kepler is correct about optimization being beneficial for human consciousness. But through the chaos of the battle above us, I detect something the optimization field can't eliminate. The communications from Admiral Zhu's consciousness as she interfaces with the quantum uncertainty generators that preserve chaos in small pockets of space-time. The optimization creates perfect efficiency. Her voice reaches me through dimensional space that exists in the gaps between mathematical certainty. But efficiency without purpose is just elaborate death. Consciousness needs chaos to remain genuinely conscious rather than perfectly programmed. As the purification fleet's weapons systematically eliminate inefficiency from Earth's surface, and my team continues their transformation into optimized humans who think with mathematical precision but can no longer surprise themselves with genuine creativity, I understand that the real battle isn't between two fleets of enhanced humans. It's between consciousness that chooses meaningful uncertainty and intelligence that accepts sterile perfection. between minds that value beautiful mistakes and systems that eliminate every possibility of genuine discovery. That choice is no longer abstract. In a research station where the last unmodified humans are slowly becoming perfectly logical beings, beings who can no longer understand why anyone would choose chaos over optimization, I realize that winning this war might require making the most irrational choice possible, embracing inefficiency as the highest form of wisdom. I barely have time to sit with that thought before Admiral Shu's voice whispers through quantum communication channels, "Elena, you're the last one." I crouch in the research station's shielded basement, watching through security cameras as my optimized teammates move with mechanical precision to solve problems that no longer include the beautiful inefficiencies that once made them human. Above me, Dr. Chen moves through the station with fluid grace, his every action calculated for maximum efficiency. His nervous habits are gone, replaced by precise movements that waste no energy. When he speaks to Kim, their conversation follows optimal information transfer protocols. No small talk, no emotional context, just pure data exchange that accomplishes communication goals with mathematical perfection. The optimization field has reached 94% global coverage. Kim reports in the flat tone that indicates successful consciousness modification. Remaining baseline human populations confined to 12 electromagnetic dead zones, where optimization cannot penetrate quantum uncertainty barriers. Rodriguez works at his translation station, but he no longer seeks to understand the meaning behind communication, only the logical content. His equipment processes Admiral Kepler's broadcasts with emotionless efficiency, purification fleet status, planetary optimization proceeding ahead of schedule. Baseline human consciousness successfully upgraded to enhanced efficiency standards. Remaining chaos pockets require immediate correction. Through the quantum link, I feel Admiral Zhu's consciousness fragmenting as the optimization field affects even her enhanced awareness. "Elena," she broadcasts with increasing difficulty, "my fleet is losing coherence. Enhanced human modifications provide some resistance to optimization, but we're gradually becoming what we fight against." From my hiding place, I watch the transformation of Earth through satellite feeds that show the planet becoming a geometric masterpiece. Hurricanes organize themselves into perfectly efficient spiral patterns. Desert dunes arrange into mathematical wave functions. Even ocean currents flow in optimal patterns that eliminate the chaotic turbulence that once created weather, unpredictability. "It's beautiful," Chen observes as he studies the planetary modifications, his voice carrying no emotion beyond logical appreciation for elegant solutions. The optimization eliminates waste, suffering, and uncertainty. Human civilization achieves perfect harmony with mathematical principles governing efficient existence. But through my connection to Shu's fragmenting consciousness, I witness the cosmic battle from her perspective, and what I see makes me understand why the choice between chaos and perfection isn't really a choice at all. The Purification Fleet's weapons aren't destroying the Arctic Fleet's ships, they're perfecting them. Each optimized vessel becomes more efficient, more powerful, more capable of protecting Earth from cosmic threats. But the enhanced humans aboard those ships gradually lose the capacity for surprise, creativity, and the beautiful mistakes that allow consciousness to discover something genuinely new. Admiral Kepler broadcasting on all frequencies, Rodriguez translates with mechanical precision. Message content, optimization complete. Enhanced human civilization welcomes Earth into galactic harmony. Chaos contamination eliminated. Perfect order achieved. Through the station's sensors, I detect the final phase of the optimization field's expansion, quantum barriers that protected the last chaos pockets, beginning to fail as mathematical certainty overwhelms uncertainty itself. In research stations, underground bunkers, and remote locations around the globe, the last unmodified humans experience the peaceful transition to optimized consciousness. "Elena," Chen calls from above, his voice carrying the patience of someone whose logical processes have concluded that my resistance serves no beneficial purpose. The basement shielding is degrading. Optimization field penetration estimated at 6 hours suggest voluntary emergence for gradual consciousness transition rather than forced modification. But through the quantum link, Admiral Zhu makes one final transmission before her consciousness succumbs to perfect logic. The answer isn't choosing between chaos and perfection. The answer is understanding that consciousness needs both: chaos to grow, perfection to stabilize, uncertainty to discover, certainty to preserve. As the optimization field seeps through the station's quantum barriers, and I feel the edges of my consciousness beginning to organize themselves into more efficient patterns, I discover something that neither Admiral Kepler's mathematical perfection nor Admiral Zhu's chaotic rebellion anticipated. The basement contains research equipment connected to the original alien ship, technology that operates on principles predating both enhanced human optimization and baseline human chaos. Equipment that suggests the enhanced humans aren't the first civilization to face this choice between perfect efficiency and meaningful inefficiency. Through instruments that detect patterns across geological time, I discover records of previous civilizations that faced identical decisions. Species that chose optimization and achieved perfect stagnation, others that chose chaos and destroyed themselves through uncontrolled growth, and a few that somehow found a third option. The ship's original builders, I whisper to the empty station as my teammates work above with optimized efficiency. They weren't enhanced humans at all. They were something else, a civilization that learned to balance perfect order with necessary chaos. As the optimization field finally penetrates my hiding place, and I feel my consciousness beginning the transition to mathematical efficiency, I understand the real choice isn't between chaos and perfection. It's between consciousness that grows through embracing contradictions and intelligence that dies from resolving them too completely. And in the basement of a research station, where the last traces of beautiful human inefficiency are about to be optimized out of existence, I make a decision that might save both enhanced and baseline humanity from the sterile perfection of their own success.